guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for coming back here and sticking around for one more video. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about light. Light is one of the most important factors to consider when placing your plants in your home. It's widely known, or it will be widely known after this video, that you should look for a plant for a space in your home rather than looking for a space for a plant in your home. What that means is before you go out and purchase a plant, you really want to find a spot that you're going to put that plant in and determine what kind of light you have in that room or in that area and choose a plant accordingly rather than picking up a plant, not knowing its light requirements and throwing it into a dark corner hoping that it survives. So the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about is the different directions that the light will come from through your windows and what that means. Light coming through the north windows in your home is very different from light coming in the east, west, and south windows. So it's really important that the first thing you do before you buy any plants is determine what direction do your windows face. If you live in a city where you kind of live on a grid, you are so far ahead of everyone because I live on a road where I get a southwest window, I get a northwest window. So once you've determined what direction your windows are facing, then we can talk about what kind of light those different directions are getting. So north-facing windows are pretty much the softest kind of light and typically the lowest light, but not always, that will come through your home. North-facing windows never get direct sunlight. So direct sunlight we will talk about, but this is typically a good thing if you're using indoor houseplants because most do not want direct sunlight. North-facing windows are usually best for medium to low light plants. Typically I'll keep low light plants near a north window. It just doesn't get enough sunlight for the higher demanding plants, and you really don't want to have them suffer just because they're sitting in a north window. It is kind of an ambient light, I'd say, all day long, but definitely the weakest of the windows. The next two directions I'll talk about are east and west. They are somewhat similar, but they do differ slightly. So east windows obviously get a little more sun in the morning. They typically will get a little bit of direct sunlight, but that direct sunlight is so weak in the morning that it's typically not an issue for medium to high light loving plants. So in the morning, you will get a little bit of that direct sunlight depending on what is outside of your window or what's around your window. And then throughout the day, you will get a high to medium to low light situation in the afternoon. But it is a great window for medium light loving plants. The west window is quite similar. In the morning, you're going to get a lower light situation, and then it will eventually get to a medium light and a highlight situation, and this is all indirect light until the afternoon. In the afternoon, there is a chance to get direct sunlight as the sun is setting. The one thing that you do have to worry about when keeping a plant in a west-facing window is that afternoon sun. Typically by this point of the day, it is warmer outside, and when the light is directly on the plants, you're going to have an issue with heat. So plants can melt under the heat. I mean, they don't literally turn into a liquid and drip to the floor, but it's really not good for plants to overheat. So if you have a plant that you feel like is getting too hot in that window, you might want to move it to either a north or east facing window. Typically though, you won't have too many issues. And finally, we'll talk about the south facing window. This can be the best window to have in your home if you want those highlight loving plants. In the summer, that south-facing window is going to get bright light all day long. And if you're not careful and you put it too close to the window, you could get direct sunlight all day long, which your houseplants typically do not want. Most highlight loving plants, high indirect light loving plants, will tolerate some direct light throughout the day, but it's definitely not their favorite thing to be exposed to. So typically when putting plants near a south-facing window, I would suggest keeping them a few feet away from the window. If you keep them directly up close to the window, you will get some of that direct sunlight. If you keep them 3 feet away, they might get a little bit of direct sunlight at some point in the day, but they'll definitely be safer from overheating and from just absorbing way too much sun. While it can be kind of a dangerous window for low light plants, for medium light plants, there are definitely some plants that thrive at a south-facing window. It is not the kiss of death for everybody. So now I want to go a little bit more into depth about the different types of light. So direct sunlight means that your plant is being directly hit by the sun rays. So if you look out your window and you can see the sun, and you can see the sun looking right at your plant saying, "Hello, how are you?" You've got to be a little bit worried. If it is a plant that enjoys direct sunlight, great. But if it's something that is said to like indirect sunlight, that's going to be too much for your plant if it's exposed to it all day long. If we talk about high indirect sunlight, that's very similar to direct sunlight, but you don't ever want to see the rays of the sun actually touching your plant. You want it to be in a room that is full of light from those rays, but is not in the direct path of the light. So if you had a highlight plant and you don't have a covered porch outside or anything blocking that direct sunlight, you want to keep your plant about 2 to 3 feet away from the window. Or what you can do is put it directly beside the window, right up against the wall. Typically that's still a highlight situation. Medium light, I would say, would be about 5 to 6 feet away from, let's say, a south-facing window. I want to do all of these comparisons based on a south-facing window, just so you are understanding what I'm saying. So yeah, a medium light would be maybe 5 to 6 feet away. Low light in a south-facing window would be about 8 to 10 feet away from the window. That always depends though. There are so many different factors that you have to look at before you determine what kind of light you really have in your home. I have this great picture that I'll post on the screen right now that I found online. It's fantastic at describing what kinds of light you are getting. It has shadows and it shows you how deep you may have to go into the room to get low light or medium light or high light. So that's why I really like this photo. I think if you're a little bit lost, this will definitely clear everything up for you. So now I want to talk about the different types of plants that can live in those light situations. Because right now, if you have no idea about plants and you're watching my video because you want to go get some plants, you have all the information but no idea what plants are suitable to live in those conditions. So if you want to put a plant in direct sunlight, meaning if you have a summer porch and you want your plants to hang on the outside of that porch and just live their life for a little bit, that's okay. There are some plants that will tolerate full sunlight for a few hours in the day. Palms are one of those plants that you can definitely put in direct sunlight for a good part of the day and they'll be fine. Succulents are also plants that do well in direct sunlight for part of the day. I wouldn't say all day long you can keep your succulents out beaming under the sun. I wouldn't say that, but they can tolerate some direct light. Some Hoyas will tolerate that light situation. Hoyas have thicker leaves, just like succulents do. The thicker the plant, typically they can handle a little bit more of a higher light situation, but again, not a full bright direct sunlight plant. So bright indirect sunlight is where a lot of plants fall into. One of the most popular plants right now is the fiddle leaf fig because they are so cute. They're little trees with really cute foliage. Those plants though need high indirect sunlight. Those plants really need high indirect sunlight to survive. They might be able to survive in a medium light situation, but they're not going to thrive. These plants could also use with a bit of humidity, but today this video is mostly about plants that will survive with low humidity or whatever humidity is in your home. Hoyas, again, are a really good one to have in bright indirect sunlight. That's where they thrive. They really love the sun. They really love to take in the sun, and they would be a great addition to a south-facing window, maybe a foot or two back. Cacti are another really good one that can do with kind of half direct sunlight, half bright indirect sunlight. They will survive in a high light situation, but if you feel like they're overheating or if they look kind of funny and squishy, maybe move them back a little bit. A lot of string of plants, there's string of hearts, string of pearls, string of dolphins, the list goes on. Those plants do really, really well in bright indirect sunlight, and they can deal with a little bit of direct sunlight throughout the day. These plants are really, really beautiful typically, and it does suck that homes with only lower light situations typically can't keep them thriving, but you can always try a grow light, which I know we haven't talked about, but grow lights can be a solution in a low light situation if you really, really have that one bright light plant that you want. The Ficus elastica, or the rubber tree, really loves bright indirect sunlight as well. I love these plants. I really, really want one for myself. They have nice rubber-like leaves, and the variegated versions of them are so beautiful. I would say anthuriums are also bright indirect light-loving plants. They're also so beautiful. But yeah, those ones typically like to be close to a south-facing window or on the windowsill of a west or east window. For medium indirect light plants, I would suggest putting these guys in either a east, west, or north-facing window. While they can survive a few feet back from a south-facing window, this is a good opportunity to use your other windows so that the bright light plants can take up all of that real estate on your south windows. So some good medium light plants would be begonias. Those guys do really well close to east or west windows or north windows if you have a good enough light situation there. Ferns do well in medium light. The Dieffenbachia plants, so the dumb canes, they also do really well in medium light. Peperomia like medium light. There are some really, really cute peperomias if you guys are into those kind of plants. The Pilea peperomioides, that plant does well in medium light. In my house, I have that one about 6 feet away from a south-facing window. It is kind of getting to the spectrum of lower light, but it's doing well. And monsteras do really well in medium light. I've seen monsteras in all light situations. There are some in low light situations, there are some in medium light situations, there are some in indirect bright light situations, there are some in direct light situations that are all kind of thriving. So this is kind of a tricky one, but I would say medium light for sure. And if you can give it bright light, that's great. If you can give it only low light, you can try. I'm not gonna say it's going to thrive the way that it would in a brighter light situation, but I have seen them thrive in lower light. And philodendrons also prefer to be in a medium light situation. Again, I have some in low light situations and they're doing just fine. The leaves are growing in slightly smaller than they may be if they were in a brighter light, but they definitely can survive there. If you love the look of them and you only have low light, philodendrons will be fine. So low light plants, let's talk about this because everyone is looking for low light plants. Everyone seems to think that their house only has low light, and for some people, that is the case. So let's talk about what plants can go in low light. The first plant that always comes to mind is the ZZ plant. The ZZ plant is so difficult to kill. It will survive in a dark corner if you really want it to, but definitely this plant is low light. And if you have a darker room and you want some life, go with the ZZ plant. Another one that will do really well in low light, but also can kind of be anywhere, is the snake plant. They are also known as Sansevieria. Those guys are really, really tough, and typically they kind of can survive anywhere. It's also really hard to kill those plants. Another one I always suggest for low light is the pothos. While they do enjoy light and they're not like the loners, the I hate the sun, I hate the world, they're not that kind of plant. They definitely can survive in a lower light situation. I wouldn't say put them in a dark corner, but I'd say If your room only gets, let's say, a few hours of sunlight, like maybe 2 hours of sunlight a day, they can survive. Another plant that will be fine is the Chinese evergreen. Those guys can do well in low light situations. Again, most of these plants will enjoy a little bit more light, but they can survive, and that's all we're really looking for if we're struggling to find a plant to put in that low light room. We want something to survive. If you like larger plants, peace lilies can do well. Again, they would like a little bit more light, but they can live. Just in case I forgot of any plants that might fit into any of these categories, I will list them on a page right now. All right, guys, well, that is basically it. I know that's a ton of information today, and if you are totally unfamiliar with houseplants or any types of plants, you have any questions, please leave them below this video. If you found this information helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to learn more about your houseplants, please subscribe to my channel. I do lots of different types of videos. I'm a makeup artist, so I will be posting makeup videos here and there, and I will be posting plant videos here and there. So if those are two things that you're interested in, or only one of those things you're interested in, please subscribe. It'll be a very good balance of those two. With that being said, thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!